Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand podcast, where we help you hack your personal brand for visibility and authority. I am your host, Claire Bon, and on today's episode, I am so excited to be joined by Bomani Mintz. Bomani previously worked at LinkedIn, where he sourced 3.5 million in revenue and scaled resources that helped thousands of LinkedIn global customers be successful. Building Crave It is Bomani's dream come true, blending his experience in the food space for over 10 years, plus his experience in the tech industry. Bomani is also a retired athlete, previously a competitive swimmer. I did not know that. But now he translates that into a passion for fitness by working out over 300 times a year in order to eat great food. That's crazy. Bomani, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Claire. Super pumped to be here with you today, and thank you for
Yeah.
the opportunity.
I'm so excited. So, to give the listeners just a little bit of a backstory, so Bomani and I met. It was at a Founder University event with Jason
Yes,
Calacanis, and it was in September 2019 in San Francisco. And I
2 day
remember that you
workshop.
were behind me in line for like food or something. Food is
Mhm.
always something we talk about. And I was nervous, hadn't really met a lot of people, and I was just like, I turned around and I'm like, "Hi." Introduced myself, and that's how we met, and we've stayed
Yeah.
connected ever since. And I went to your beta launch in
Yes.
June here
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
LA. So anyway, I'm so happy that we've stayed connected this whole time, and I'm
And
so
we're in the
excited
same
that I
city now.
finally. I know, it's so exciting. So I know about your business, but no one else, no one that the listeners may not know about it. So I
Yeah.
want to know, tell me a little bit about the business and then how you came up with it, why you decided to do it.
Yeah, my passion is really for, uh, 2 things, food and as well as connecting people, and I thought there was a huge opportunity to do both in the same platform. So, Crave It is a social app for food lovers. We are making it easy for people to figure out what and where to eat without having to use Instagram, Uber Eats, Yelp, and also to have a place where they know what their friends love to eat and what they want to try, whether it's recipes or restaurant recommendations. This has definitely been like a long journey for me to go full time to really embrace this. And it started years ago, just simply using Instagram as a platform to help restaurants advertise their dishes because we eat and see with our eyes for what we want to eat started in, and I was pushing towards that as ago, just for the fun of it.
Yeah. And I know that you've recently changed. I feel like when we went back in 2019, it was a little different than it is now,
Yeah, so I
right?
mean, we changed strategy. Like initially, what our go-to-market strategy was like, let's get a ton of restaurants on the platform, and then let's get a ton of dishes, and then let's go after people that love food to be a part of the platform and find some of the best dishes in their area, in their city, easily. What we discovered through 2020 is that yes, we could do that, but a lot of restaurants really needed support in community-based understanding, like what their food is, how to connect with individuals. And right now, with all of the delivery services and pickup platforms, very transactional. And food,
Mhm.
quite frankly, isn't supposed to be trans. It's community driven. It's social. It's things people love to talk about. So we decided to really focus on the social, allowing our community to publish content on our that they're eating, whether it's homemade recipes or dishes from restaurants, to give people a place to get inspired around what and where to eat and to be able
Mhm.
to connect over the food in regards to how did that food taste? Who can you tag in this dish that also might be interested in the food as well? Some recommendations for food always carry more weight, 3 to 5 stars on Yelp, which is arbitrary. Is that meaning it's good for parking? Do they have valet? Is the
Yeah.
staff good? Is the food like what goes into that number? No one can really talk about. So that's one of the things we really leaned into moving
That's
forward.
awesome
Yeah.
because I could definitely, I know, I don't know if you remember, but I have a gluten allergy. And so sometimes it's really hard to figure out like who around me can deliver food that is gluten free and tastes good. especially
Yeah.
if you're looking for certain types of food. I love Thai, I love Chinese, but sometimes those can be a little tricky with gluten free. So you want to know you're not just picking some random place. Is it really good? Who else has been there? And so that's really awesome because, yeah, you don't always know if you don't have that recommendation. And I think, yeah, we were definitely in that position in 2020. So that is a really good, I think, a really good pivot. I see that amazing value in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. We're still going to bring
Um,
back like the discover by dish and taste profile. But for right now, this is a great platform for you to be able to document your food journey and connect with other food lovers. So more things to come for product features and updates in 2022.
Awesome. So, like, what I mean, did you always have a dream of being an entrepreneur and starting your own business, or did this kind of just you felt that there was a need and you're like, I'm going to do it? Like, what happened?
Yeah, that's I wouldn't say I always. I think it was like in the back of my mind. Like I think like growing up, I wanted to be like top dog in the corporate ladder at like a major
Hmm.
company, but I also like in the back of my mind had what if I had my own like company, the founder and CEO of that. And I think like throughout like my adolescence interest in business sort of continued to play on both sides of that fence. And as I started diving deeper in my professional career, I was like, you know what, I want to do my own thing. I want to own my own company. I want to make my own impact, but I need to be able to work through some of the corporate world in order to get to that point.
Hmm. Yeah. So I want to. So this is the personal brand, powerful personal brand
Yes,
podcast. So I would definitely love to hear about being a founder. I hear this a lot. We work with a lot of angel investors and VC and private equity firms, and we
sure.
hear
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot that they fund the founder. And I mean, I've heard that a lot. And obviously, your
yeah,
personal brand is that. How
right.
have you consciously constructed your personal brand knowing that, or was it more organic?
It was definitely more organic. I would say that it shifted to being like very thoughtful. I think it has a lot to do with what do I want to accomplish as an individual in my life. Yes, I want to change the world through food, but in that process, I also want to uplift people.
Hmm.
Advice, feedback that has nothing to necessarily do with my company, but those are core values. And I want to make sure that uh, doing podcasts as I'm doing statuses on LinkedIn and Twitter, that's conveyed because that's something near and
Hmm.
dear to like my heart. So yeah, I think it's very much more intentional on like how I'm thinking about doing it. But I've always been that way, but now it's like a lot more regimented. And then like my director of marketing is just amazing. Document the journey. That's something I'm always like working on because founder, you're so focused on the future. Like you really look. And I'm just fortunate to have someone on our marketing team to be like, hey, here's what we've accomplished. Let's highlight this. Let's put this in a blog post. Let's talk to people. And people really enjoy that because we see oftentimes result like funding raised or this company went public or X number of users happen during that process. People want to
Hmm.
hear the journey just get to Z without, going through ABC,
Right.
so we're really trying to highlight that more the journey. And then I also want to inspire people. So again, like it's a combination of like intentional and just like organic at the same time.
Have you found that's helped you get funding? Have people heard about you through your personal brand and they came to you and said, hey, I want to talk to you about this funding round, or has it
Yeah,
helped?
hurt, which is positive. Yeah, I think just leaning more into it, I think is helpful because I think the reality of the world that we're in, right, with the internet is it's that stamp of approval verification. Okay, if somebody
Social
reaches out
proof.
to me cold, yeah, the social proof. It's like how many followers do they have? Does anyone know them that I know? Okay, no, I don't know if this is a person for me or if that validation is there. It's like, oh, like now this person legit. It's taken more seriously. Like I can dive as a person, that stuff's available, it's out there, it's useful versus just having a blank slate. So I definitely
Mhm.
think it's 100%.
So you definitely with Crave It, you've been doing this for a while. How many years now?
So
When
I
it
went
started?
full time in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so a
think we
little
met
over
like
like
right after when you quit your full-time job,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
super early. Yeah, yeah. It's been like 2.5 or so years. Obviously elevated the product and raised some capital, and yeah, things have definitely changed in the last 2 years. I'm down in LA now
That's
too with you.
Yeah, I know. Well, so I want to know, like, how have things changed as far as raising funds? Because I've seen it as far as
Yeah,
your go-to-market strategy. Like, there's so many things that are different, and it's ever evolving. 20
yeah, yeah.
years, you could actually get funded off a napkin. We joke about that,
Right. Yeah.
right? Your idea, you didn't have, and now they want to know, all of these things. And how has it
Yeah.
changed from when you started in 2019 to now? What advice would you give somebody that is wants to found their own company? What advice would you give them when they're going for a raise now versus when you were
Mm.
starting in 2019?
So I think one of the things that isn't really talked that should be talked about a lot more is that the reality of raising venture capital or capital today is it's very network driven. So like before you even go out and raise capital, ideally you want to build those relationships. Whether it's like,
Mhm.
hey, I have an idea, what do you think? Or this is like a high level overview, rough draft of a deck. Can you poke holes in it? Can I pitch you my idea and why you wouldn't
Yeah.
invest or like why you would invest? That ammunition before you go out and build a product, before you quicker and faster. And then you also have those relations because it is a relationship business. So you have to think it does take some time. And it's very seldom like it's dating. It's very seldom you have the first date and you're like, this is the one. Like, okay, we're ready. That repetition. So that would be like some of the advice that I would give it to anyone that's like looking to build a company or to raise like or even like angels.
I
And
like that
then
because I never really thought about, because I've heard of that, the informational interview, if you want to like get
yeah,
into a certain field, that's always was something that I was told to do. I never
yeah,
thought
yeah,
of doing that with an angel investor, just saying, hey, no strings, just can you poke holes in it, like you said. That's amazing
yeah,
and
yeah.
great feedback.
Yeah, it's something that I think it's something that be very important. Even like now, I still do that. I'm always like trying to perfect my pitch, get it better, get it tighter, get new feedback. It's like being a founder, and I say this like often, it's like in school semester and you're presenting your final project, but you're presenting that over and over again. And every time you're doing it, there's a little like hole or a little tweak. And it's like
Mhm.
constantly evolving, tweaking, but
Yeah,
you're getting better and better and you're learning
right.
so much along the way.
Yeah. Sometimes that I know for me, sometimes that when you hear the feedback, sometimes the lessons were a little like, oh, because it is personal, right?
Super
It's like a little bit of a
personal.
gut punch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much different pitching a product or service from a company that's not yours versus you because you're in it in the day to day. You created it, you have the team. As much as you want to keep it business, it's also think about it personally too.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. That is really great. It's a great advice for somebody. So, how do you think the world has changed from 2019 to now, as far as
Mm.
going for a raise? Do you think it's changed?
I think it's changed quite a bit in the sense of the way in which you can raise capital beforehand. Primarily, like you would ideally want to have in-person meetings. You would go to the funds, you would have lunch or coffee face to face, which
Mhm.
often takes time, right? To have a coffee or a face-to-face meeting, it's at least now, right? Especially if something's going well, it could turn into 2.5 hour conversation, which is
Mhm.
great because you at that point you really and the idea and you can see it through. It's changed now to 30, 20-minute meetings, which
Mm.
ultimately in some sense is more effective, but also it's very much more transactional.
Yeah.
And if you have a 30-minute meeting, that whoever you're connecting with at minute 25 is already meeting. So it becomes a lot more transactional to build a personal relationship off that meeting. And it's very hard
Mhm.
to like really dive in that amount of time, especially because it's very, very quick and you might, not be your best right away. So there's those factors, which ultimately has made it easier to get in front of people. But I think the quality of the relationship at times has decreased unless there's
Mhm.
continuous follow up meetings, then you build that over.
Right.
I think it's a lot harder to build relationships in 30 minutes or less if that's the focus. If that's not the focus, then sure, keep it transactional. It's more
Mhm.
effective. You can have 8 to 10 meetings back to back. So it all depends. But I definitely think that personal relationship has been lacking for people that don't have those in the space
Right.
too, to
Do
build
you think
those.
that you can build like a personal relationship through like social media, or would you advise that? I guess the question is, does
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media help with funding, especially now that everything's virtual? Do you think it does?
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does if you know how to use it in that way. So like
Mhm.
the social media brands is like the validation to drive interest and engagement. The posts that you create, the tweets or whatever is to keep that engagement. And then the DM to like filter one to one. That can or that purpose is let's jump on a call and let's get to know each other more, or let's meet. I just had 3 meetings yesterday with people that I had met via the Twitter community and they're in LA, and I'm like, let's meet in person. Like we've
Mhm.
had some sort of dialogue online, let's get offline and meet in person. I tell you the world of a difference that makes. So like my focus now is like building online relationships to take them offline in person, whether it's founder, a VC, an angel, like it's a whole different relationship being in person, face to face. The walls broken down. We don't have this screen. We don't have to easily just leave after 15,
Mhm.
20 minutes. You're
Mhm.
sitting down with somebody, it can kind of lower the level of the wall. So
Right.
yeah, I definitely think it's helped. I definitely think it's
That's
helped.
good. So what is interesting to hear you say about networking being so important is that is actually one of an angel investor that we work with. That is one of his biggest pieces of feedback that he gives founders is
Yeah.
how important networking is. That's actually one of his kind of pillars on his blog, is how important, and that is one of the things that we always talk about with him. So great to
Yeah.
hear that you see the value in that too. It is amazing. Your networking, really anything, whether you want to get a job, find out about even getting an apartment or a house. If your
Yeah.
network knows and say, "Hey, I heard of something," and yeah, it's even getting a date.
Extremely, yeah. The network
Yeah.
is extremely important. That's another reason why I loved working at LinkedIn and wanted to work at LinkedIn because I understood that at an early age in college and built my professional like portfolio of experience with people. And closed
Yeah,
mouths don't get fed. If you don't tell people what
I
you
like
need or
that.
what you're interested in, you're passionate about or what you need help with, no one knows because they're not in your head.
Right. So there is a question that I've been wanting to ask you for a long time. So after we
Okay.
met, I
Uh-oh.
remember because we've been connected for a while, and I saw like you did you were on a podcast, and I watched it, and you said something that kind of bothered me at the time,
Oh, okay.
and I want to get your feedback now because I know that your life
Yeah.
is very different. And I remember that
Uh-huh.
someone was talking about work life balance. And
Uh-huh.
you were just saying basically it's when you're a founder, it's just work. There is
Ah, yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
social life. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
no, you've got it wrong. And that was so I want to know,
Yeah.
and I think I do know the answer to this, but has your idea about work life balance, has it changed?
Uh-huh.
Do you think it's all just work all the day, every day, or do you make sure that you have time for yourself and other things that you want to do?
I'm glad you brought that up. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do know I mentioned something about the sacrifice of like birthdays, like holiday
Oh,
around that, and weddings. So I actually don't believe in a work-life balance. I believe in balance. So like work is like one component of like your life, right? It's like a sliver of the pie. How much percentage of your life is work and then the other things? I think like I've I'm very structured, so I've built in that what you would call like work life balance, like every morning I work like the 300, like you mentioned in the beginning. Like every morning I make sure I work out and I meditate and have a cup of
Mm,
coffee and go on a short walk with my fiance and our dog. Like when starts at the end, even before the like work day starts too, I now have a journal of like I write 2 or 3 things I'm thankful for in the morning, and then at the end of the day I'll sign off. I'll write 2 or 3 things that I'm thankful for as well. So I think like my life balance is part of it, but definitely I think you have to carve out things. I do
mhm.
still believe like there's different points like accept everything like for reasons, or like
Yeah.
you're fundraising that you can't go to this party or you can't go to this wedding. I still definitely believe in that, but I also believe like even now more so with like how 2020 was, like the ability to disconnect literally from the screen, like to go on a
Mhm.
walk, go on a hike, clear your mind. I think that's important, like almost like now more than ever.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's like balance is key
Yeah.
to your overall life.
Right.
However you
I
want to
is
split
for
that
you.
pie up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think what people struggle with the work-life balance is the fact that work doesn't ever seem to end. So you're always
Mm,
things are popping up. The team will text me early in the morning, late in the whenever
yeah,
kind of they're online. So I
yeah.
get that, but at the same, I feel for us, our day ends probably between 5 and 6 when we go on a dog walk because you come back.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go back to work, but I still work, but I'm not in front
Yeah,
of my
yeah, yeah.
computer like physically working. And
Mm,
I think for me that 2020 highlighted the need for making sure that you made connections with people. Because I feel like
yeah.
that because you couldn't go and see people, so you're like, I'm going to schedule a Zoom, and I can't tell you how
Totally.
many family Zooms we did and things like that where we'd never done it before. And
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
literally lost my father-in-law last year, and
Oh,
we were all like, thank God we did so many Zooms with him.
yeah, yeah.
And I think for me, that was like, that's one of the things that's no, you know what? Why wait?
Yeah,
Because
relationships are so key.
they're
Yeah.
so key. Because that is
They make you
networking too,
old
your
too.
family.
Yeah,
They do. Yeah.
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 They really
Awesome.
do.
So I'm glad to hear that you're trying to a little more balance in there. Because I
Yeah,
remember hearing that.
balance is definitely key. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely like with my interpersonal relationships and just like family, continuing to like slice that pie up.
Yeah.
Super important to have the balance of everything.
Your family's in DC.
I'm in DC, yeah. So I'm like the
Yeah.
only person out west, and I've been
Yeah.
out west for almost like 10. I haven't lived on the East Coast in almost 10 years now.
So
Yeah.
you have to carve that time to go see them.
Totally. Yeah, Sundays are usually like uh family call time too on top of doing work, but it's more of self-reflection, getting ready for what's working, where do we need to
Mhm.
improve, got to connect with some friends, got to connect with some family, got to meal prep,
Yeah.
got to
So
stretch
you're
because
a
I'm
meal
tight from
prepper too?
workouts. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wow. You are very regimented.
Yeah.
That's no, but that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I'm sometimes like I'm
It's
super
gave me a
impressed because
lot.
I'm sometimes like,
Yeah.
damn it, I'm hungry, I have nothing to eat. And I know that you should never be in that position.
It happens to
It's
me sometimes too. I didn't meal prep this Sunday. I had to do it Monday, so I was in that situation. Yeah,
yeah,
so I can
yeah. I
too.
yeah, we have you work from home, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you can be like meal I don't know. For me, from when I think of meal prep, I think of making like a big meal that I can split up. Not
Mhm.
necessarily like cooking chicken, cooking rice, and putting it in a bowl. Like I make
See.
tortilla soup, and we boiled the chicken, made tortilla soup with the stock, and then made chicken enchiladas
Yum.
out of like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one chicken. So that's how I meal
Yeah,
prep. Not necessarily like
cool.
super healthy because there's cheese and stuff. That's how I meal prep.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. So I should probably get on Crave It and start taking some photos.
Yeah, let's see your homemade meals. They sound delicious
Yeah.
already. I'm sure other people would resonate with that as well.
I don't know if you
Then the
know.
recipe links.
Actually, I have a blog where I have all those. I used to have if you go back on my YouTube channel, you can see all my videos that I created. So
Oh
I have
my
my tortilla soup
gosh.
video. I
Oh,
was doing food blogging. So I have
okay,
like
this is
all of
it.
that stuff.
Yeah, you've got to get on there ASAP. Expand
Okay.
your brand reach, your person.
Yeah. So are there any founders or people that maybe the way that you saw them, or maybe they're personal friends of yours? Are there people that you like admire, whether it's their personal brand or their work-life balance or how
Mm,
they network? Is there someone you admire and why?
yeah, I would say there's a couple of people that I admire. I think first and foremost, like one of the people I admire the most is like my director of marketing, Ish
Mm,
Verduzco. He's just an incredible marketer. Uh, he's self-published author. He connects with the community. He's, very plugged into futuristic things like NFTs, right? He can really tell a story, but he can also market it to the right people and get them to respond, build conversations, build communities. So and I'm just blessed that as a part of my team here at Crave It. Another is also really awesome of Career Karma Harris, just like great brands, always publishing content, motivational pieces, just documenting the journey of being a founder. I also love, and this might be a little controversial depending upon who, if people like this person or not, but I love how Elon Musk is just kind of attitude, like he is who he is,
I
but
love
like
Elon because for that
yeah,
exact reason.
so he's definitely someone, and then just like the way like Tesla markets their product is it's just beautiful. They don't sell you on it. It's I want this, but I didn't even know I wanted this, and wow, like now the list goes on. There's a couple of people out that I'm forgetting, but there's definitely other people like even in the founder ecosystem as far as like startups. Like I follow a lot of motivational poetry and speeches, and I
Mhm.
like repost those because I think they're so
Yeah,
relevant, not only just for like founders but for like people in general, as far as like self-loving reflection, not being too hard on yourself, continuing to keep going and
right.
persevering. So yeah, and then like how I built this, I know that's not like a person, so to speak, guy Raz, that stuff, as far as like people that I follow and loves to see the journey that are founders as well.
I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, you've touched upon this about how with the people that you like and what they do with their online presence and their personal brand and what you like to do. I think a lot of people don't think about telling their story. And storytelling is so important to to connecting with people, and it's not always easy being a founder
Yeah,
and
it's an
starting your own
art.
business and that kind of thing. And I think sometimes just pulling that curtain back and saying, hey, yeah, this is what was hard. Because then when everyone else deals with their issues, they're like, wow, I'm not alone. And I think that's
Yeah,
one of the beauties, I think, that I've personally been seeing this trend, probably started in 2019, definitely in 2020, where people have pulled back the curtain a lot more and they've
yeah,
shown their difficulties. And I think
yeah,
that is so much easier to connect with than perfection.
yeah, yeah.
I,
I would definitely agree. I think it's starting to change, which is positive, right? Because the sort of the way in social started, it was like, let's just show everything positive in your
right.
life, and if you don't, it's not meant for that from a post standpoint. I have seen, I think the one thing that stories did from a Snapchat perspective and just like Instagram is that people are documenting their pieces day by day, and that's slowly coming into like story form. Whereas
Mhm.
like Twitter is a little bit different, right? If you do a tweet, like it's a thread of might have a status, like I'm feeling
Yeah.
low today. What are things that you need to what helps you get energized, and people comment. So I think that mask, like you said, is coming off because everyone doesn't have great days, and it's also important to like truly have a community and have support because it
Right.
kind of comes full circle. You can
Yeah.
help someone else out as well.
I love that. Oh, awesome. It's interesting because I feel like the conversations we had, because we haven't talked that much in between the 2019 and now,
Yeah, it's like,
really. I feel like you have evolved so much and become much more
oh,
grounded.
thank you. That's
And
awesome.
if
That's good to hear.
yeah, I really do. I feel like when I first met you, we were all struggling, right? It's nervous.
Yeah,
We're going to have to, pitch our businesses. It's like you have all these things going through your head. So
like
you have
do or
that
die.
kind of
Yeah,
layered on, but at the same time I feel like once you it's trial by fire, like all this stuff and you're just like if I just let all of this affect me without centering myself, without finding inspiration in things, without finding
yeah,
people that kind of inspire me to keep going, to get through the tough days. I agree. That is what I did in
yeah.
2020. I basically was like, I'm done with all these perfect people. And I went to people that were like, I did. I literally had a cleanse
Love
from
that.
Instagram. I couldn't deal with Instagram. I went more
Yeah,
towards LinkedIn, where you were dealing with people that were dealing with their business stuff and were a little bit
yeah,
more real. There is still a little bit of perfection going on, but so where if someone wants to find more about you, Bomani, where can someone find out about you?
yeah. All the socials. I'm on LinkedIn, Bomani Mintz. I'm on Twitter, Bomani Mintz, aka Mr. Future Food. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is really funny because I don't post that often, but I do. It's Bo_life90. Find me on Crave It at Bomani, and you can get Crave It in the App Store and Google Play Store as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited
Oh my gosh, thanks for
I'm
having
very
me.
excited to yeah, I'm excited to like, learn more about all the stuff that you have going on and we definitely need to connect in person because we have not done that
Yes,
since you've been
over
in LA.
food, of course.
Yes.
It's a must.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to the Powerful Personal Brand podcast. I hope that you got a lot of great personal branding information and information if you are also a founder from Bomani from this conversation. And I will see you in the next episode.